What's going on, gamers? Here we are with some Aliens Fireteam Elite, and today I'm going to bring you my guide for this fella right here, the Doc. So if you want to be able to provide a lot of support for your team, be able to heal, res if you need to, and provide a nice chunk of change of damage, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. Welcome back, you guys and girls. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, all the latest and greatest hints, tips, guides and builds, and just some fun gameplay and reviews of upcoming games, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But for today I'm here to show you the build for this fella right here, one that I think really works well in any type of game. If you're doing early game, he's absolutely amazing. If you need him for late game, again this build will really help your team out. He does a fair chunk of damage and he's able to give the team a little bit of resourcefulness and mitigate a bit of damage. Just an overall great build to use. So jumping over to his weapons, and we're going to kick it off with the Kramer Assault Rifle. Now this is a bit of a niche assault rifle, but I feel it works in a lot of situations. It does just an insane amount of damage. If you're able to hit those weak point spots, you're able to get such a hefty chunk of damage with this gun. It's absolutely amazing. Even if you're not, coming down here at 207 damage per bullet, you're still gonna knock them for 6. You do a lot of damage, just make sure it's on target, and you will be netting that weak point damage every once in a while because it's not the worst for accuracy either. As you can see, at accuracy 75 and stability of 82, you will be getting those hits on target, you will be netting yourself quite a lot of weak point damage, and you'll really help your team. Also, this gun really brings a lot to the table with its stumble chance, so a lot of times enemies won't even get close to you. They'll fall over and someone on your team, even if it's not you, will be able to take them out. Now jumping over to the attachments, and I've got the boosted flash hider. This is really good. I've recently started using this and I've put it into a lot of my playstyles. So it gives you effective range of 25%, meaning you haven't got quite as much damage fall off. Not bad, but you didn't have much on this anyway. But it definitely works. The main reason you've got this is for the 40% weak point damage for 5 seconds on kill. Now this doesn't stack, but you get an awful lot of easy kills with this weapon because it does a big chunk of damage, and because there's a lot of times when enemies are rushing you, the smaller adds and such. Having that 40% damage on the next one after you've destroyed one of the enemies really helps you out. Jumping over to the magazine, and if you're playing a little bit later, try to chuck some ammo into your build somewhere. This one is the drum magazine, and just one of my favourite attachments in the game. Nice and easy, the magazine gives you 20% extra, max ammo of 20% and 25% reload speed when your magazine is empty. Meaning don't worry about reloading midway, just empty the magazine and it will definitely work in your favour. Jumping over to the small optics, this one's down to your own playstyle. If you are absolutely amazing at headshots with this gun, you may want to swap this one off for something that's got a bit more weak point damage. But if you're just spraying those bullets and getting those weak point damage every once in a while, this one works really well and conserves a little bit of ammo. The micro dot sight, accuracy of 15%, effective range of 15%, but the main thing we're after is the bigger damage of 10% damage and minus 10% fire rate while standing still. I really like using this on this weapon. I stand still a lot, especially down corridors. I found that this definitely nets you some big numbers and tends to take things out quite easily. Now jumping over to the perks, and like I said, a bit of a fun gun. You've got 5% stumble chance, 5% stumble chance, 5% weak point damage, and finally even more weak point damage and stumble chance at 1% stumble chance and weak point damage on hit. This effect stacks 5 times and resets on reload. In my opinion, this is one of the best weapons you can get, and even though it's not the most accurate, it's not bad, and it does a lot of damage without you having to worry too much, and it's a lot of fun to use. Now next up, and we got the Rapid Responder. Now 9 out of 10 times I was using handguns at range. With this build we're going completely the opposite way. If you're aiming for that mid-range or slightly further away, you're going to be using your Kramer. When they're point blank, this Rapid Responder is absolutely great. It does so much damage. Now the accuracy is awful, the stability is awful. Do not use this at range in the slightest. Like I said, point blank, up close and personal, this is what you want to be using. The damage is 95 per pellet. You get an awful lot of pellets, you're going to do a lot of damage. Weak point damage is 190% as well, with everything we've got attached over here. Jumping over to the attachments, and we've got the vent brake, weak point damage of 20% and 5% handling and stability on the shot. This effect stacks 5 times and resets on reload. That does actually help a little bit. This does kind of tend to drift upwards when you're using it. It's not essential, but it definitely can help, and the weak point damage again is what we're after. Drum magazine, like I said, whenever you can get extra ammo, you'll definitely want it. This is the same as we had previously: magazine capacity plus 20%, max ammo plus 20%, and 25% reload speed when the magazine is empty. With this rapid responder, you just want to be holding down that trigger and waiting for that to apply. Last but definitely not least, and we've got the hybrid sight. Accuracy plus 30% and weak point damage plus 20%. Where after that weak point damage, we love that accuracy, as it just means all the pellets are going to hit where we're aiming for. This really helps this out and means you're going to do some crazy damage to those weak points because every shot is hitting it. Going over the perks, you've got 5% accuracy, 5% fire rate, and lastly, not the best I would say, but it does help a little bit, and that's 1% stumble chance and fire rate on hit. This effect stacks per projectile that hits and stacks up to 5 times. Anything that can help. The stumble chance does really help too much, but it does give you a nice bit of fire rate, so again it can really help, especially with that reload time on your magazine. If you're after taking out those tougher elites and you've got a good team around you, you can really dish out some damage with this and the Kramer that previously you probably wouldn't be able to on a lot of Doc builds. Now jumping over to the consumables, and I would probably say with this it's the same as a lot of my other builds. If you can, make sure you've got a vulnerability drone on it, because that is just probably the best you can get for out and that damage. Again, something to slow them down or something to make sure that they can't get to your team, like a cryo grid, is probably best for your second in slot. If however you want to change it up a little bit, I would say probably take out the second one, the cryo grid, and chuck on either a hardened electroshock sentry gun or a hardened incendiary sentry gun, as they can really help out on those situations when you're pinned down and you've got things coming towards you, especially if you've got a technician in your team that can chuck the coils on the floor, meaning that these are a little bit more protected. Now going over to his perks, and the first thing you're going to want to chuck on is this right here, his suppression station. This is just great. Your trauma station now deals a larger radius and debuffs enemies who step into it, reducing their movement speed and damage dealt. That can really help you out. It means that you can put things slightly in front of yourself, reducing or impairing their actual speed, and meaning that they're not going to be able to hit people as hard if they're in that as well. Also, you can jump into it whenever you want to regain a little bit of health. I really like this one, it's my favourite one to put on. Suppression station is absolutely a must. Jumping over to the right, and we've got readiness. Your movement and ability recharge speeds are increased by 10%, and your reload speed and handling are increased by 20%. Again, I really like this. It helps to make your overall build just great, and it kicks in with a little bit of ability recharge speed, meaning we don't have to worry too much about our combat stims because we've got the 10% as standard. Jumping up to the top, and one of my favourite things about the actual Doc, anaesthesis. And jumping up to the top, one of my favourite and probably one of the harder ones to pronounce, anesthesiologist. A core perk of Doc. I've probably pronounced that wrong, but it's one of the best skills he's got. After not taking damage for at least 10 seconds, gain 10% of your current life as temporary health. This can really net over the course of an actual mission, and it really is good for being able to withstand that damage, and often you'll find that you haven't even taken any damage to your main health bar because that 10% does stack up, and that means a lot of times it is going to take the damage rather than your primary health bar. Absolutely amazing, and really helps you to survive those tougher encounters. Jumping down to here, and we've got bedside manner. You can pick up damned allies twice as fast, and your entire team's bleed out time is increased by 25%. Now, this might not be that great early game, but as you start to play the later missions, as you start to play the tougher missions, say for example Intense onwards, this one may well be one that you'll definitely want to put in your build, as it really helps out you and your team. And of course, it links perfectly with this next one over, Rapid Recovery. Picking up a downed ally grants them 50% more health, and your entire team's bleed out time is increased by another 25%. If you're playing those extreme or insane missions, you'll know why you want to put this on. Definitely needed for your Doc, and really one of the best things you can have as a support in game. Jumping down to the bottom, and we've got strength in numbers. Field Medic now also grants you 5% damage dealt and 5% damage resistance for each nearby ally. Absolutely great, as you're able to buff yourself up to 10% damage and 10% mitigation if you're near allies at most times. With the doc, you probably are going to be at least near one of them, giving you a bit of damage and resist as standard. Jumping over to the right, and we've got support system. Your outgoing healing is increased by 20% and allies now gain 15% ability recharge speed while standing near you. I would say this is one of the best perks that he has. Definitely chuck it on your grid, as it will really help your team out through being able to heal them more and being able to recharge their abilities. If you've got someone, for example a gunner in your team, he will have 15% recharge speed on his overclock, meaning you'll be able to dish out a lot more damage as a team. Just works amazing and really is one of the best perks he has. Jumping up from here, and we've got Surgeons. You can no longer be stumbled while interacting with objects and reviving allies or using an aid kit. This doesn't sound amazing. It sounds like something you're probably not going to bother with because it does no damage, it doesn't do too much for your team, it doesn't give you extra stats. But later on, not being able to be fumbling around, knocked out of things, not pick up ammo, not pick up your pals, this is an absolute lifesaver, and in conjunction with these two just here, really makes you a great support. Well worth having on if you're playing in those later difficulties and you think there's a chance that you're going to get hit, someone else is going to get hit, or if anyone's going to go down. Now jumping up to the top here, and we've got Keep and Pinned. Enemies you shoot deal 10% less damage for 4 seconds. Does not stack. However, we're going for a build that does a lot of support. You are never going to get top damage with your doc unless you're playing some kind of a crazy build or you've not got the strongest team around you. You probably shouldn't be looking to get top damage. You're going to want to help people out. You're going to want to make sure that you can do a fair chunk of damage, as well as making sure that the people around you are topped up on health, and if they are going to go down or if something's going to happen, you're able to help them out in those situations when they're in need. You've already got just over here a bit of mitigation, just over here you've got a bit more mitigation. Works great. I would definitely chuck this on your build. Now just down here, and we're going off the Technician skill tree, Technician Handgun Training. Increase the accuracy and weak point damage of handguns by 15%. Really is the best one to put on in my opinion. Gives you the extra accuracy, gives you the extra weak point damage. Really works well with our rapid responder, meaning we can hit those elites and just do a lot more damage in those situations, especially if we've got a bit of overclock going on from one of our teammates. Jumping down to the bottom as well, we're going to be using the Phalanx Handgun Mastery. Increases the magazine capacity and weak point damage of handguns by 15%. Like I said, we're trying to help out our team with that damage to single target. This definitely does the job, and the rapid responder along with these two is an absolute force to be reckoned with. It does a lot more damage than you think, and as a doc you still are able to help out and knock a fair chunk of damage out on those targets that have a lot of health and can take an absolute beating. Now lastly, if you're wondering why I've left free spaces just up here, it's because I haven't been able to get the perk that I need to chuck in the slot to make this the best build I can. If you have got it, the hidden perk that you can get from caches for the doc is Neurotoxin Specialist. Dealing damage to an enemy weakens them, causing them to deal 20% less damage for 5 seconds. Obviously you've got that other one just up the top here as well, meaning they're going to be doing 30% less damage, and if they're in this radius as well, they'll be doing even less. It's absolutely amazing and really helps you and your team out in those later levels to survive. If however you're like me and you're just not able to obtain it and you're still waiting for it, then chuck whatever else you want into this slot. If you have a team that's able to knock people down a lot, then this one right here, Down and Out, works absolutely amazing and means you might be able to get an extra 20% on those big elites again. If you haven't got that, you may well want to bop this one just down here, and then you'll be able to extend the duration of your combat stims, or you can up the recharge rate, whatever you find best for your build. But overall, if you can, I would say that Neurotoxin Specialist is definitely the best one to have. If you can't, chuck in whatever you'd like in the free spaces available. Right, you gamers, I hope that's helped a few of you out. I really enjoyed this build. It's been a lot of fun to use and a lot of fun to put together. As always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, take care. I'll see you all next day.